nice to get normal people involved really, as opposed to just hiring high fashion models that are 5 foot a million.
So we're just going to start with our usual cleansing. So important to get the skin looking great before you start applying your makeup. With your dry patches, which as you say are around your nose, a little bit on your chin, I'm going to apply this Seraphic Veil. It's a really, really nourishing, sort of thick moisturising cream. It smells divine, and it's just going to really help moisturise and refresh your face. We'll just smooth that all over. I'm going to apply the Aqua Primer on top, and that can go again right up under the eye and keep that looking nice and fresh. So we'll really get in either side of the nose, as that's Zoe's problem spot, and on the forehead, and then across the eyelids. We'll use our lip plump, which is, again, it's got some nourishing properties to it, and it's got a little bit of sparkle. This is called Swell Bliss XXX Lip Plump. It's not actually going to make your lips tingle, but if you use it over a couple of weeks, you'll really notice a difference. Just pop that over the top. So I'm going to prepare the eye area now for your makeup. So to do that, I'm going to use our Fine Spun Light Concealer, which is great as a highlighter and amazing as a base for shadow. So I'm going to use this in Orionis, which is slightly pink toned, which will work with your porcelain skin. I'm just going to apply this liberally all over the eyelid, and this is just going to create a nice base to put my eyeshadow onto. It helps cancel out any redness as well, which is always useful. So because I want the pigment to really, really shine out, I'm not going to powder this eye, I'm just going to put it directly onto that primed eyelid. I'm going to start with one of our Fire Drops. I'm going to use a new shade, Wishing for Wings. It's gorgeous, it's kind of like a grey purpley shade, and we're going to put that closest into the tear duct area. This shade is a slightly purpley shade, which with her eye colour is going to look great, but at the same time it's got the silver hint, so it's going to really open and lift the eye when the rest of the makeup is going to be quite dark. So when you're doing a smoky eye, it's always nice, particularly if you haven't got very wide set eyes, to make sure you keep the inner bit of the eye nice and light. It helps separate and keep the darkness to the outer corners. So now I'm going to apply one of my favourite shades, Delicate Hummingbird. I'm going to use my finger to get this really nice kind of smudgy look. Just with your fourth finger, it's the weakest, best one to do this, and it's small and you can kind of get it around. So just close your eye for me, just stipple that colour on there. Just up to the brow bone, which is just here, you can feel it. It's where the eye naturally bulges. The thing with a smoky eye is you want it blended, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that neat. You can just see how well this colour is coming out when you use your finger. So I'm just going to take that across the whole part of the moving eyelid there, right out to the edge. So I'm going to take Electrifying Storm Petrol, and I'm going to work this from halfway across the eye to the edge and blend it through. It's a nice sort of smoky grey, tones in with the purple from sort of halfway across the eyelid, just taking that out to the outer corner. Just work that over the eyeshadow that you've got there. I'm just going to create a bit of a shape here. Get the shape you want, and then you can always blend it out afterwards. So I'm going to leave it graphic for now and come back and blend it later. So same thing on the other side, from about halfway across the eye, blending out towards the outer corners. I'm just going to taper that out towards the outer corner. So I'm going to start work on the underneath of the eye. I'm going to move back to Delicate Hummingbird. So I'm putting this the whole way across the eye, and then I'll blend other colours into it. I want a really deep, intense colour coming out at the end. Okay, and then we'll move back onto the Electrifying Storm Petrol and work it in the same kind of way that you did with the top layer, from sort of half the way out. The effect is the light going to dark, moving across the eye. Keep it close to the lashes. You always want it to be darkest close to the lashes. I like the general shape and the uplift that we're giving to the eye, but I just want to make it really dark. So I'm going to use Volcano Fairy Wren, one of my favourite shades. Black shot through with a little bit of silver, so it's all going to tie in nicely. I'm going to start it where I want it to be darkest. Always start your application where you want it to be darkest, and then blend from there. And you can keep on building this till you get the colour intensity after. So I'm starting my application of the black right on the lash line at the outer corner. It's the most flattering place for the eye to be dark. Just going to run it along that socket line as well. And then open your eyes, and we're going to go underneath with this black as well. Alright, let's clean off a little bit of that black so we can see better the shape that we're doing. See how much easier it is if you do the skin second. Yeah. For it to be a true smoky eye, it has to be softened around the outside. It has to blend out into nothingness. What I'm going to do is take a shade which is more akin to a smaller skin tone. I'm just going to lightly buff that in across where the line is, and that should really help to soften it. You could use a matte shadow for this if you wanted to, but I'm going to use one with a little bit of iridescence called Solstice Halcyon, which is really great for around the socket line. So just take that around that area. Already you can see it's just softening that line. Don't change the shape because that's what you worked on. Just gently and carefully soften the harsh lines. You can come right into the eye as well. Just keep working that into the eye. The more you blend, the better this smoky look is going to come off. Just quickly going to take matte powder in Papyrus Canary and just run this over the brow bone just to lift the eye. Okay, on to making this really juicy. So we're going to use our Feline Gaze eye kohl in black. Salome, and look up. We're going to just get this nice and thick inside the inner rim of the eye. You can smudge a little bit down onto the actual lid as well. The more eyeliner the better in this case. This is going to really sharpen it and make the eyes pierce through the smoky look. It's really important when you do a smoky eye to keep it really dark, just close to the lashes. So I'm going to use one of our lovely Devotion inks. Remember to always shake these, it kind of activates the quartz in them. This is a really nice sort of purple with a lot of shine to it. So we're going to keep that to the middle of the eye and then move to black towards the outside corner. It's going to give you quite a rock look. And this you can build up in layers to get a really strong colour shining through. And then just towards the outer corners I'm going to use the Anthracite Essence, which is our black with a bit of silver in it. I'm not going to create a shape, just going to line the eye. We'll just blend down into the lashes. Again, the darker colours are just the outer part of the eye. Onto mascara, I want the eyes to be really black, so I'm going to use Big Lash in Pure Obsidian, and you can even put this on kind of clumpy, you know, lots and lots of layers, clump the lashes together. The kind of dirtier and more lived in the look, the better I find with the smoky eye. The more black you start putting on, the better the eye will look. It gets more and more intense. And this, again, I'm going to put loads on these lower lashes, so it's nice and clumpy. The blue of your eyes is really starting to pop. Okay, I'm going to move on from the eyes, I'm going to clean your skin, let's get your face looking beautiful. So I'm just cleaning off the face here, and now we can get started with our base. So for Zoe, I want it to be quite luminescent, so I'm going to mix one of our illuminating liquids in Sea of Clouds. I'm going to mix that with our Milk Aquarelle foundation in Coconut Milk Parfait. So I'm actually going to mix these together on my hand before putting them onto your face. So we'll start around the nose where she's saying she has redness. Just blend that in. By putting the foundation on, it's going to make the eye makeup look more sort of arresting, particularly with her eye colour, but it's also just going to even out the skin tone and make a nice flawless finish. I like to blend it down the neck. So now I'm just going to conceal where I need, which is just in the areas where you're a little bit more red. So I'm going to use Fine Spun Light. This is just a little bit of concealer just to really lift the eye. You need to keep the under eye area really light if you're going to do a smoky eye. It just makes the whole thing much more fresh, particularly in this inner area around the nose. You want to keep that nice and light. I'm just going to pat that into the skin. She says her nose is a little bit red, so I'm going to work around there. So I'm going to use a little bit of powder just to take a hint of the shine off, just where you want your face to be a little bit more matte rather than too shiny. You use the powder in Piano, it's got a little bit more of a pink tone, which is good for your skin. And put a little bit across the forehead, just down the nose. This is just taking off a tiny bit of the shine on the areas you might not want to be so shiny under the eyes. So we're going to do a tiny bit of contouring on your cheeks. I think that's going to make it look really strong. I'm going to use Delicata and again use my flat-sided brush and work it from the back, coming down the cheeks. Zoe's lucky, she already has fabulous cheekbones, so it's very easy to accentuate them. And I'll just put a touch more highlighting fluid just on the tops of your cheekbones. And I'll do that with my fingers, it's easy enough just to pat it in. So this is Sea of Clouds. Just take it up towards the brow bone. And again, my favourite spot, just on the Cupid's bow. Just blend that down the top of the lip. So if you just turn your head from side to side, you see you get this nice glowing shimmery sheen from the sea of clouds. And then on the lips, we're going to use our suede feel matte crayon called Unpoemed Reverie, which is a really nice nude modern look. You can use them to line the lip first and then fill in the rest of the lip after. On Innocence, there we go. So I'm just going to line the lip and then fill in the centre. This shade is nice because it's definitely very matte and it's a nude sort of tone. It's not going to fight with the eyes, but it's not going to leave the lips looking undone either. And then we have our finished look.